Niko hapa expressway. Sijui nini imefanyika, mataa zimewaka tu alafu gari imezima. Nimeitisha flatbed. Uko kwa workshop? Uko site, wacha nikate simu. Hey guys, as the saying goes, BMWs and flatbeds, BMWs and reliability. Is it really a thing for BMWs? Is it just a fallacy? Do people just make fun of the BMW fanboys and ladies? We will find out. Now here on the episode we have a very nice BMW F25 X3. This is the third generation of the X3 from when they were launched. So related to the reliability issues, we will start our review of this with our series of crossover, mid-size crossover SUVs from this engine section. So looking at this here, there is some sort of disappointment from all the motoring heads, because if you look at this car, I mean, what is happening? All this space, you can fit a person under here, you can fit some luggage under here, or better still, I think you can buy some nyamchom, wrap it well in some aluminium foil, then place it there, take your drive, because there is space which you can use as an oven. But anyway, do not do that. So the idea with this, you can feel like we have a tiny engine in this very big car, but no, not at all. So ideally, the design for smaller engines, 2 liters and below for BMWs, were meant for smaller cars. The 3 Series, the 2 Series which came in just recently, but the 3 Series mostly and the 1 Series used to use these very small engines, 2 liters and below. For these bigger cars, they used to use the straight 6 engines that would come all the way up to the front. So if we can just look at this, this is a 4-cylinder, 2-liter turbocharged petrol engine that ends there. If at all we had the straight 6 into this engine bay, we would have it up to somewhere here. That is the essence of this space, that this void here that would have been filled by 2 more cylinders coming up to this. You're welcome. Edwin here, you're watching Aswanation. Let's go through quirks and features of the BMW X3. We will start with at the top here. You can see the twin power turbo. So some learnings from this is, when you look at the twin power turbo, some people have tried to use that to try and explain their way through how turbos work and claim how these cars have 2 turbos, but no, they don't. So twin scroll turbo is just a setup of the turbocharging system that now has 2 ports from the exhaust manifold getting into the turbo for 2 different channels that will come back and merge together, bring out the boost from one end of the turbo as well. So the difference is here, the single scroll turbo is the normal conventional turbo that we know, that just one exhaust manifold that now goes down into the turbo, versus the twin scroll turbo that has 2 exhaust manifolds split into 2 portions. Let's say cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4. But for this instance, we have firing order in terms of cylinder 1 and 4, and then 2 and 3 separated, and then coming into the turbo differently on the channel, on the turbine, and then leaving out as one into the intercooler and into the combustion chamber. Some bit of technical engineering bits, but don't worry. So in here we have a 2-liter turbo petrol that churns out just about 200 brake horsepower and about 280 Newton meters of torque, which is enough for this car. So things to look out for BMWs, especially in terms of these engines, you can look at these things like these oil leakages. Some of the seals tend to go out very fast, and then just general maintenance. BMWs are good, BMWs are reliable if you take care of them. So this is a 2-liter. We have the option of the 2-liter turbo petrol. We have the option of the 2-liter naturally aspirated, but not on this car anymore for the smaller cars. We also have the 2.5 naturally aspirated, and then we go all the way to the 3-liter twin turbo straight 6. But as you move to the X5 and above, you'll go to the full blast of the 4-liter twin turbo V8 that you find on the modern performance BMW cars. So generally that is what that engine means, and that is what is powering this mini crossover SUV. So looking at the design of this car, we have dual bi-xenon headlights, but majorly the first one works for your headlights and the second one just works for your pass, that is your flashlights. Down here we have nice fog lights. You notice they're a bit higher than the rest of the manufacturers, and then we have some sort of blanks here, plates here that you can customize and put some more lights. The twin BMW grille here that has straight vents in them. So for the later versions of the M3, M5, the 3 Series with performance packages, you'd find we have some gates here. So the car would open up the grille when cooling is needed, but then when the engine doesn't need to cool, the flaps here would close for better aerodynamics. Coming down to the sides, not many things happening on BMW like to keep it nice and straight, at least on the outside. Some carvings on the front wing here, and then this angle line here on the door, same thing replicated on the door mirrors as well. So we can look at the X-Drive 20i. The X-Drive is denoting the 4-wheel drive system on the BMW that is a bit clever to distribute power from whatever wheel that has traction at whatever time. So if we are losing traction on the front left, that won't be locked up, and 100% or 50% of the power sent to the wheel that has traction on the front or at the back. So X-Drive for BMW 4-wheel drive, 20i for 2-liter petrol direct injection, and now we have a turbo in it. So on the side as well, compared to other models, you will see that this car has very nice opening doors, wide as well, but not as wide as other competitors in the Japanese market, but they open up nice. We also have we still had the halogen lights on this one. Later versions of this has the LEDs at the back, a bit of reflectors here. We have parking sensors on the bumper down here, as well as an imitation of a splitter. Under there we have a twin exhaust from one side and there on this car. Looking at the space that this car has, we have normal dampers for the boot struts here. We look at the boot here, we have quite nice boot space, about 600 liters of boot space. We have some more storage space down here for your bits and pieces, for instance, jack, wheel spanner, and some things. We have these hooks here for tying down some of your shopping in these rails when you buy them, like so. So you have tethering points that you can tie down your shopping. We also have some cubby hole here that you can use to put some more stuff, and some net on the other side here. Up here we have a puzzle shelf that you can use to lock down your things. Down here they don't move about and they're not seen from the boot. You don't want to see at this time, you don't want people to see you buying a lot of unga and putting it in the boot. The thing has become expensive. We can still probably look at the design in here. So at the back here we can see we have quite enough sitting space, quite enough room. This seat is a bit lower than the others, so you have some more knee room, just enough for 6-foot person. Headroom is also very good as compared to the rest, with the sunroof here that opens in 2 parts. You can just open the blind only, or you can also open the sunroof itself, and you can have some nice sunlight and breeze coming from the top. So the seats at the back here are also comfy, full leather in here with the headrest. We have some vents for air conditioning, as well as a 12-volt charging port for your power, for your devices. We also have some nets here for storage on your back seats, as well as the finish on the doors. We can see some wood finish and metallic finish on the door handles as well, and then the whole thing is wrapped into nicely done leather. So inside the BMW here you can find one of the most one of the well-designed interiors, say cockpit for that matter. Out of the German cars, Audi used to have a best interior designs as well as best equipments fitted in their cars, but BMW came up and sort of overtook them. But for the modern competition, we can see them upping their game among the German manufacturers. So looking at in here, the cockpit or the interior, the cabin here is nicely lit, having that we have the sunroof here open, or when you just have the blind move back, you have enough light coming into the cabin. So the finish here, the material is all leather, yeah, so everything is nice and good. The seats here are comfy and well made as well, with the stitching just going along the lines. So at the center console here, we can see we also have these nicely finished wood finish that makes it a bit makes it feel more premium, makes it feel a bit luxurious. We also have this traditional BMW infotainment system that allows you go through configurations for stereo and other things through this rotary knob that will make you go through channels and other vehicle configurations when you press this menu button. So you can go through radio, navigation, map, BMW services, vehicle information. You can as well check your engine oil level through the car's infotainment system by just toggling into vehicle information and onboard computer until you go to where do we find it, vehicle status. Yeah, you can look at things like tire pressure, you can look at things like engine oil level. So there you confirm and check engine level, so the car will run through that and just to make sure that it shows you the amount of engine oil level that is in their car. Yeah, so that can only be done when the car is stationary, and many other configurations you can do in this car. So we have still a traditional BMW outlook over here that makes it a bit analog, a bit archaic, but still functional. Not a lot of buttons and not a lot of things that are complicated, but the good old buttons that you just press for your memory and what have you, for your stereo, for air conditioning. On this side as well, the dashboard is well made, leather covered. We also have a speaker here. We have an all-round 8-speaker sound system here, Meridian sound system. As well, we also have nice storage in your glove compartment that you can put a few things in there. Coming to the gauge cluster here and the steering wheel controls, so we still have analog dials in this car, although later versions as from 2017 2018 do have an display here, do have a screen for display here as well as a screen on that side. So we have still analog dials for your fuel gauge, for your speedo, rev counter, and for the boost or the vehicle configurations that you have installed or set up. On the steering wheel here, no complications, just the normal reset set button for cruise control, and then stereo controls for the mode as well as volume and your Bluetooth connectivity. Sitting in here, compared to the competition, let's say the Toyota RAV4, say the Honda CR-V, or say the Mazda CX-5, you would find that we do have a lot more features as standard in this car, a lot more features that are premium compared to the JDM competition that this car sits in the same class with. So generally it feels nice, it feels well made, it feels very, very comfortable. You only pay a price at the general start point when you purchase these cars, but enjoy them as you live by. So we will take a quick ride with this car just to have a feel of how it rides, how it goes, and probably talk about how to live with it, the maintenance, what it takes, and all that. So far, thank you for subscribing. If you haven't done so, consider subscribing. Help us to give you more content as we educate you and share some of these experiences in these cars that you may not be owning, but will have to know about them. So hit the subscribe button. Let's continue. How does it drive? Yeah, so the BMW also feels nicely made. Being a petrol engine, so the cabin is very quiet. You can barely hear the engine unless you push it hard. So it drives nice. The steering is not too light and not too heavy. It's nicely weighted. It goes over bumps very well and potholes. Having that, it is on slightly bigger tires, 18 inches, and a bit beefy, not like those ones on the 20s and 21s or the 19s that will have very low profile, that tends to be a bit harder on the road. So this irons out imperfections in the road and makes the ride smoother to be in. So just like the rest of the other crossover SUVs, you also sit high above drivers in the lower saloon cars and hatchbacks and wagons. So you have a very good command of the road. You have nice views outside as well. You have proportional mirrors. You can see clearly what is on the other side, what is on the other side, what is coming behind you, as well as the rear view mirror. The view from the back as well. The car is wide at the back. You have just enough view from the back. You can clearly see what is coming from that end. So the engine is smooth, the suspension is smooth, the car rides well. Although the M versions of them, those ones that have the M package, would have the suspension set up a bit stiffer for sportier feeling. Going into corners a bit tighter than normal. So for this one, having been set up on the normal soft suspension, it tends to lean through corners, but not as much as the Japanese would do. But yeah, quite enough for comfort and just gliding through the road. So if you push it harder, like such, so the 2-liter turbo petrol engine with just about 200 horsepower is powerful enough for this car. It will take you from 0 to 60 in about 7-8 seconds. But if you can tune that, they still have the tunability in them. Being a BMW, and the BMW fanboys like a little more power from the engine, so you can easily squeeze out 250 brake horsepower, 50 more or 60 thereabout from the original setup. Just with an ECU tune-up, ECU remap, you can easily get that, and an extra 60 or 100 more Newton meters of torque. So things to do with this car: watch out for any leakages if you're buying a used one. The engine, watch out for any breakages in the electrical system, in the wiring harnesses, because BMWs also like to bring issues with the electrical system short circuiting that would make it a nightmare for some of the modules for you to live with them. But yeah, engine services within 10,000 kilometers, new spark plugs, new filters, and such things with premium oil, that is synthetic engine oil, will make your car ticking for longer, will make your car smooth for longer. Generally, it's also a good car. It's also value for money if you're in the market looking for a crossover SUV, and you're not looking at the Range Rover Evoque, you're not looking at the Toyotas, you're not looking at the Mazdas. So this is also a great option. So just wrapping it down, if you can afford it, you can still run them on premium fuel. The Shell V-Power, the highest octane ratings you can get, will make these cars continue running for longer. Again, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Make sure you click on the bell icon to get notified anytime we do a video. We've been having a series of videos on crossover SUVs. We will bring you one more probably from the JDM market or the Korean market for you guys just to have a feel on what is the difference in between them. Thank you and cheers.